Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is WireDogSec back with another video for you guys. Today's video, we are in TryHackMe. This is the SOC Level 1 Learning Path, Digital Forensics and Incident Response module, and this is the Velociraptor room. Learn Velociraptor, an advanced open source endpoint monitoring, digital forensic, and cyber response platform. Hopefully, you are ready to learn something today. And be sure that you're ready to take some notes as we go throughout this room. And if you want to help support the channel, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Without further delay, let's go ahead and dive into it. Task 1 Introduction, Velociraptor. In this room, we will explore Rapid7's newly acquired tool known as Velociraptor. Per the official Velociraptor documentation, Velociraptor is a unique, advanced open source endpoint monitoring, digital forensic, and cyber response platform. It was developed by digital forensics and incident response professionals who needed a powerful and efficient way to hunt for specific artifacts and monitor activities across fleets of endpoints. Velociraptor provides you with the ability to more effectively respond to a wide range of digital forensic and cyber incident response investigations and data breaches. This tool is created by Mike Cohen, a former Google employee who worked on tools such as GRR Rapid Response, and Recall Memory Forensic Framework. Mike joined Rapid7's detection and response team and continues to work on improving Velociraptor. At the date of this entry, the latest release of Velociraptor is 0.6.3. Learning objectives. Learn what is Velociraptor. Learn how to interact with agents and create collections. Learn how to interact with the virtual file system. Learn what is VQL and how to create basic queries. Use Velociraptor to perform a basic hunt. And here's some prerequisites that you should probably do before you check out this room or video. Windows Forensics 1, Windows Forensics 2, and CAPE. And be sure to check out my channel for videos related to those rooms. All right, so we've read through the intro. Let's go ahead and hit complete here. Task 2, deployment, deploying Velociraptor. Velociraptor is unique because the Velociraptor executable can act as a server or a client, and it can run on Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. Velociraptor is also compatible with cloud file systems such as Amazon EFS and Google File Store. Velociraptor can be deployed across thousands, even tens of thousands of client endpoints, and runs surprisingly well for an open source product. In this task, we will not go into detail about how to deploy Velociraptor as a server and agent architecture in an environment. Rather, in the task virtual machine, you will run the commands to start the first Velociraptor executable as a server and execute a second Velociraptor executable to run as an agent. This is possible thanks to WSL Windows Subsystem for Linux. This will simulate Velociraptor running as a server in Linux, Ubuntu, and as a client running Windows. WSL Windows Subsystem for Linux also allows us to run a Linux environment in a Windows machine without the need for a virtual machine. Let's start Velociraptor as a server if you haven't already done so. Deploy the attached virtual machine. After fully loading, the virtual machine will appear in split screen or split view in your web browser. If you don't see the VM, click Show Split View, which I've already started up with that green button up there. For a better experience, expand the split view to full screen mode, which will probably do. Please note when you access the desktop, a PowerShell window will run for about 10 to 15 seconds. It is important to let this run. It will automatically close when it's finished. There's a text file on the desktop called commands.txt. Open the Ubuntu terminal and run the command for start the Velociraptor server Ubuntu terminal and proceed to follow the instructions listed in command.txt. Below is an example of the terminal input and output. Okay, so once we get it up and running, we'll do this, and then let's see here. Let's. It's worth noting that the version of Velociraptor running in the attached VM is 0.5.8. Now launch Google Chrome and click the Velociraptor shortcut. Chrome is likely to show you your connection is not private errors. This is expected, and you can proceed to 127.0.0.1 via the advanced option. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this show split view here. We'll make it bigger here in a minute. Let's just get this up and running. Okay, so it's okay. Let's take a look here. There's the commands file here. Okay, And let's go ahead and start this. All right. And we need to cd into Velociraptor, so I'm going to copy and paste. All right. And then let's go ahead and run this. Okay, it looks like it's going. All right, everything looks good so far. And what's the last thing on here? Add Windows as a client, CMD. Okay, let's see. We need to open up Chrome. It says once it's loaded up here, there's the credentials right here, THM admin and TryHackMe. If all goes well, you should see the welcome screen. Okay. And let's see here. There it is right here. Velociraptor and THM admin. TryHackMe. All right, looks good to go there. If you wish to interact and deploy Velociraptor locally in your lab, then Instant Velociraptor is for you. Instant Velociraptor is a fully functional Velociraptor system that is deployed only to your local machine. Refer to the official documentation for more information on deploying Velociraptor as a server client infrastructure or as Instant Velociraptor. Using documentation, how would you launch an Instant Velociraptor on Windows? Okay, so we got to take a look at this documentation and see where we can find that. And also, I'm going to make this into a bigger screen real quick. Hey everybody, this is WireDogSec. Just a quick reminder to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Once you hit the notification bell, be sure to set to all notifications so you know every time I post to the channel, upload a video, all that good stuff. Let's continue to grow our glorious community here. We are in the cyber trenches. We're not just reporting on it. Be sure to check out my channel as well. I have tons of videos. You can see here over 300 videos ready for you to check out and learn something from. Be sure to review my posts. I'm frequently posting new things to my channel here, including jobs and everything related to that. Also, I have tons of playlists here that you can review, make it more convenient for you. Anyway, happy defending, happy hacking, enjoy the video. We are now on the documentations page for Velociraptor. This is the instant Velociraptor section here, and then we flipped to the Windows tab here, and it says to fire this off, run the GUI CLI command. It's going to be this here, velociraptor.exe, and then GUI for graphical user interface at the end there. So plug that in as our answer, and we're done with that one. Task number 3, interacting with client machines. Inspecting clients. If you didn't notice, some links are grayed out when you first log into Velociraptor. See below. Yes, I'm pretty sure we see that too. If we click the hamburger icon. These links are specific to client endpoints and will become active once the analyst interacts with these endpoints within the Velociraptor UI. Let's add a client to Velociraptor. Remember, since the attached VM is running Windows subsystem for Linux, WSL, the Velociraptor server is running in Ubuntu, but the client will be Windows. Run the commands for add Windows as a client TMD from the commands.txt on the desktop here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. We already have that open down here. And it's just this. Let's go ahead and copy and paste. Okay. Where did we put this? Okay, I guess we just open up another command prompt. All right, then let's go ahead and do that, I guess. Uh, okay, where is this? C programs files. Okay, there. Let's just flip over to that. Okay. All right. So now let's run it. Okay, let's go ahead and paste this in. I guess it's running. Sweet. Okay. So I think we're good for now. All right, so let's continue on. To see the client and interact with it, click on the magnifying glass with an empty search query, no text in the search bar, or click show all. Okay, so let's minimize these here. I'm just gonna hit refresh real quick. All right, and there's the search bar here. Okay, there we go. The output will display a list of clients' machines running the Velociraptor agent in a table form. Below is a brief explanation of each column. Online state. A green dot indicates the endpoint is online, communicating with the Velociraptor server. A yellow dot means the server hasn't received any communication from the endpoint within a 24-hour time frame. A red dot means it's been more than 24 hours since the server last heard from the endpoint. Client ID. This is the unique ID assigned to the client by the Velociraptor server. And the server will use the client ID to identify the endpoint. A client ID always starts with the letter C, host name. This is the host name. The client identifies itself to Velociraptor server. Remember, the host names can change, hence why Velociraptor uses the client ID instead of identifying the client machine. Operating system version. The Velociraptor client can run on Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. The details regarding the client operating system are displayed in this column. Labels. Client machines may have multiple labels attached to them. This is useful to identify multiple clients as groups. Click on the agent to bring you to a semi-detailed view. By default, the view shown is the overview of the client. Okay, overview. In this view, the analyst you will see additional information about the client. The additional details are listed below. So client ID, agent version, agent name, last seen at, last seen IP, operating system, hostname, release, architecture, client metadata. All right, and so we already see client ID, hostname, OS version, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, if we click on it, we can see some more information here. Okay, and VQL drill down. In this view, there is additional information about the client, such as memory, CPU usage over 24-hour time span, the Active Directory domain if the client is a domain joined machine, any active local accounts for the client. The data is represented in two colors in the memory and CPU footprint over the past 24 hours, orange memory usage, blue CPU usage. Okay, that's good to know, I guess. All right, so overview, and then the VQL drill down here. Okay. And if you just scroll down a little bit just to look at it real quick, see some more information down there. Shell. With the shell, commands can be executed remotely on the client machine. Commands can be run in PowerShell, CMD, Bash, or VQL, depending on the target operating system. Will determine which the analyst will pick. For example, CMD will not be available or viable option if the client machine is running Linux. It's straightforward. Choose one of the options to run the command and click launch. In the example below, the command who am I was executed with PowerShell. The command results are not immediately visible, and the eyeball icon needs to be toggled to see the command results. Okay, so we'll just follow along, I guess, and we'll click on shell, PowerShell. Then who am I? Hit enter. Oh, I guess we have to click launch. Okay, and there we go. Collected. Here, the analyst will see the results from the commands executed previously from the shell. Other options or actions, such as interacting with the VFS, virtual file system, will appear here. In collected, VFS will be discussed later in the upcoming task across the top pane, and our brief details of the collected artifact see below. So we got state, flow ID, and some other information here created last active. All right, good to know there. And all right, there we go. Some good information there, looks like. Clicking on any flow ID will populate the bottom pane with additional details regarding the information collected for the artifact or collection. And below screenshot, the output is from artifact collection. Okay, and you have different tabs here, it looks like, that you can play around with that we saw. Yeah, so interesting there. This section is very busy, and I'll leave you to acquaint yourself with the information displayed here for each collected artifact. The questions in the task will help nudge you to navigate throughout the output returned for each shell execution, i.e., who am I? And the next task will explore how to create a new collection and review the results and collected. Interrogate. Per documentation, interrogation is the term we use to describe the process of querying a host for its basic host information. To confirm this, click Interrogate. Now navigate back to collected. You will notice the artifact collection is generic. All right, so interrogate, and we just have to find where that is. Okay. Let's see. Client info, which is additional collection on the list. The first artifact collection is in the list, is indeed generic.client.info. This is the same information displayed under the VQL drill down. All right, so we have to go back to collected, and just have to remember how to get to there. Anyway, I'll show you whenever we go through these questions here. So as usual, go ahead and pause the video, try to answer these questions yourself, then come back to the video, and then we will proceed. Let's take a look at these questions. What is the host name for the client? Flip over to our VM. Right now I'm on the home page, and let's go down to host information, and we can see the host name here. All right, so we just go ahead and just copy and paste that over. And what is listed as the agent version? So we have agent version right there, and just copy and paste this over for the version. Next one, in the collected tab, what was the VQL command to query client user accounts? Now for this one, I did a search on like users or sys.users, Windows sys.users, whatever. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just grab this real quick. And we need to go over to collect artifacts and go to request, and we need to make sure we're on the right one here. Yeah, get user accounts. So let me scroll back down. I believe it's this one here. Let's hit F. I gotta remember which one. Maybe it was this first one here. There we go. Okay, so just basically go in here, grab the correct request here, and then you're gonna go down to this area here, and then basically just search on Windows.sys.users. There's two in here, and just make sure to grab the correct one. I believe it was this first one here. So let's go ahead and copy that, and then to double check it, let's do Control F and paste. There we go. All right, so that one's done, and in the collection or the collected tab, check the results of the PowerShell who am I command you executed previously. What is the column header that shows the output of the command? One. We'll go to I believe it's in results, and we need to go and find okay, this is the who am I that we already ran earlier, right? And you go to results, and then down here you can see that it's NT authority system because that's what it said earlier, right? So, and then the column that's under is going to be STD out or standard out, okay? And if you want to reference that again, there was, I believe it was in host information here, yeah, under shell, and this is what we ran earlier, right? So there you go there. You can also see the get date one, which we'll get to here momentarily. And let's see here. We were on this one, so we got standard out in the PowerShell or in the shell. Run the following PowerShell command: get date. What was the PowerShell command? Execution or executed with the VQL to retrieve the result. So as we saw there earlier, you can see I already ran it. There's the date, so we have to go back to click the artifacts, and then you go and locate the Windows PowerShell command, which was this one here, get date. Okay, so once you're on here, you have to go to these tabs here and you go down to, I believe it was log. And on log, you can see here what the answer is right here. So VQL shell running external command PowerShell, and you just grab everything inside these brackets here. So we're done with that. Next one, task number 4, creating a new collection. Creating a new collection. In this task, let's create a new collection, okay? We will take advantage of the WSL setup and the attached VM and choose an artifact specific to Ubuntu. There will be 5 stages in this process. Select artifacts, configure parameters, specify resources, review, and launch. Select artifacts. In the search bar, type windows.cape files.targets. If you're not familiar with cape, please visit the cape room and check out my channel for that video. All right, so let's see here. Make sure you're down here under this one here, collect the artifacts, okay? So click on collect the artifacts, hit this plus sign here, and then we'll just paste that. Okay, so let's continue on. In short, Cape files are community created targets and modules for use with Cape, but as you can see, other tools use these Cape files as well. When you select the artifact, a brief description of the collector will be displayed on the right, along with a rundown of parameters. So right there, configure parameters, new collection, configure parameters, okay. Next, click on specify resources, okay. There we go for configure parameters. And they selected this one, use auto assessor. All right, I guess this is automatic or default. Scroll down and check Ubuntu. Okay, scroll down and check Ubuntu. So let's go ahead and do that. I wonder how far this is. Oh, I just passed it, didn't I? Let's see. There we go. Okay, Ubuntu. Then specify resources. You can leave this untouched. See the below screenshot. Okay, next click review. There's review. And the output displayed in JSON format, and it's pretty straightforward. Only one setting was enabled to collect, which was Ubuntu, right? So we have the same thing here. Launch. Everything should be in order. Now it's time to launch the collection to gather artifacts. When you click launch, you will be redirected to the collection view. Notice that there should be a new entry with the newly created collection. In particular, notice the state. It should show an hourglass, which indicates the artifacts are actively being gathered for that collection. So let's go ahead and do launch. Okay, and redirected. We can see that under here for state, and we have the hourglass. Okay, so we're on the right track. Once it's done, we'll have that check mark here. So once artifacts have been gathered, the state will change from hourglass to a check mark like the others. As the list of collection grows, you can search for specific collections using the text field at the top of the column. See the above screenshot. Sweet. Now that we have gathered or have that covered, let's look at VFS, refer to Velociraptor documentation to learn more about artifacts. So be sure to check that out. And we have some questions here. So as usual, be sure to pause the video and try to answer these questions yourself. Come into the video and we will proceed on. Let's take a look here. Earlier, you created a new artifact collection for windows.cape files.targets. You configured the parameters to include Ubuntu artifacts. Review the parameter description for the setting. What is the parameter specifically looking for? So once again, if you want to go back to that process, make sure you're down here on this icon here, collect the artifacts, plus sign up here. You're going to search for that one, this cape here. You're going to select it and then configure parameters and then hit this wrench, I believe. Yeah. And you have to go all the way down to where it talks about Ubuntu. If I can find it again, it's like near the bottom. There we go. And then this part here, I think it's this one here. Oops, let's go ahead and paste this in. Yep. So that's done. And after you get done running this, you go and review the output and then ask how many files were uploaded. So I've already ran it. I'm not going to run it again. There's the completed one here. Okay. And if you look at artifact collection tab, you can see information here on the results. And then for files uploaded, you'll see your answer here, which should be 19. You can also click on uploaded files and then, manually count them, or you can just go down here and you can see it says 19. So there you go. And task number 5, we're going to talk about the VFS, virtual file system. Per documentation, Velociraptor provides an interface to interact with the client's file system, which we will call the virtual file system, or VFS. The VFS GUI is a convenient tool to interactively inspect the client's file system and fetch files if necessary. This can prove useful in an incident response scenario where you, the analyst, need to inspect artifacts in a client. Refer to the official documentation for a complete overview of the VFS. In this task, we're going to focus on getting hands-on with VFS. Below is what you should see when you first access the VFS for a client. So something like that. Let's check our VM, hamburger icon, and virtual file system. Okay, I think we're on the right track here. In the left pane, along with the middle pane, there are 4 folders or accessors, file system access drivers. You have file, uses operating system APIs to access the files. NTFS uses raw NTFS parsing to access low-level files. Registry uses operating system APIs to access the Windows registry. Artifacts, previously run collections. Awesome. 3 buttons are highlighted in the above image. Below is a brief explanation for each. Okay, and we can see those buttons here that they're talking about. Number 1, refresh the current directory, sync its listing from the client. Number 2, recursively refresh this directory, sync its listing from the client. Number 3, recursively download this directory from the client. Let's continue interacting with VFS. And when any folder is clicked in the left pane, additional details are displayed in the middle pane. For example, if the file folder is clicked, a subfolder will appear, which is C. Now the details in the middle pane will change to reflect C. Okay. So yeah, I just got to go around and flip through things, I guess, so we can see different information here. Okay, so we have questions again. Y'all know what to do. Go ahead and pause the video and try to answer these questions yourself. Once you're done, or if you need assistance, come back to the video and then we will proceed forward. Let's take a look at these questions. Which assessor can access hidden NTFS files and alternate data streams? And there's the format there. Okay, so for these first two, you have to look through the documentation on their website here. So somewhere on their documentation website, you can find those answers. Now, what I did was I just went and asked Copilot, make it a lot faster and easier. So which assessor can access hidden NTFS files and alter data streams? Velociraptor. And it tells me information about it. It says NTFS assessor, yada, yada, yada. Now, the other question was that we needed to find provides file-like access to the registry. So this one, I had to ask Copilot a couple times. So the first two questions here, which assessor provides file-like access to registry, and it says that it's this one, your artifact assessor, which is incorrect, right? That's why AI is not perfect. And asked it again, what other assessor does this? And said, oh, in addition to the artifact assessor, Velociraptor provides registry assessor for file-like access to the Windows registry. Lo and behold, there you go. And then it gives you some more information, and then it can direct you to the actual documentation page and whatnot. So it provides those sources for you. If it doesn't, I would ask Copilot to provide sources for this. All right. So anyway, those are how I got those answers there. Next one, what is the name of the file in the $recycle.bin? Now for this, it doesn't tell you, but when you go to this virtual file system, okay, you're going to go to this NTFS right here, and then you're going to click this here to recursively refresh this directory, sync its listing with the client. Now this takes a few minutes to load, probably maybe 10, 15 minutes to load completely. Done. You can have some more information here that you can actually go and sift through. Okay, if you don't do that, then you're not gonna have anything in here, like we saw earlier. So anyway, there's our recycle bin, and then you're gonna click on this here, and then there's the file name that we need. So desktop.ini, answer there. Last one, there's a hidden text in a file located in the admin's documentations or documents folder. What's the flag? So once again, you're gonna navigate through here. So we're under C, and you're gonna go to users, and you'll go to the administrator, and then the documents here. Now, if there's nothing here, once again, you gotta have to let this sync. Okay, so make sure that's done. But anyway, so once that's done, you'll see this flag.txt. Click on that, and there wasn't a an option to select the text view. If there's not an option to select the text view as grayed out or anything, you got to scroll down and then you click on fetch from client and you click on that. Okay, once that's done, you can click on text view, and then you can see the actual contents of that file. All right, so that's how you do this particular task. Now let's go to task number 6 here. We're talking about VQL, Velociraptor query language. Per the documentation, Velociraptor is powerful and flexibility, or power and flexibility comes from Velociraptor query language. VQL is a framework for creating highly customized artifacts which allow you to collect, query, and monitor almost any aspect of an endpoint, groups of endpoints, or an entire network. It can also be used to create continuous monitoring rules on the endpoint, as well as automate tasks on the server. With many tools that you will encounter in your SOC career, some tools may have their own query language. For example, Splunk, it's SPL. Elastic has KQL, and Microsoft Sentinel has KQL2. VQL is the meat and potatoes of Velociraptor. Throughout each task thus far, unbeknownst to you, you have been interacting with VQL. To jog the memory, navigate back to collected and inspect generic client info. Click the request tab in the bottom pane, see below image. So we already saw this earlier, so I'm not going to go back and look on here. You can do that on your own time. If you are familiar with SQL, then you should notice the similarities. For example, select from and where to execute a simple VQL on your own. First, create a notebook. Navigate to Notebooks tab in Velociraptor Notebooks are containers that we can use to execute our queries and commands as demonstrated below. So if you want to do that here, this is how you do it. Yeah, it seems pretty straightforward. Notebooks consist of two languages, Markdown and, of course, VQL. If you're familiar with Jupyter notebooks, they function in a very similar fashion. Let's create our first notebook and enter some simple Markdown. We'll circle back to VQL shortly, so I guess let's go ahead and do that. Hamburger icon, notebooks, okay. And what do they do here? Of course, the plus sign. Hello world, I guess, is what they put in there. Hello, hello, and admin. And then submit. I guess that's done. All right. So let's go ahead and follow along here. Okay, submit. All right, so I guess we're good with that. Sweet, now let's set our notebook to use VQL instead. To query basic information from the current agent, we can use the select star from info. Click into the lower box, display the options for this, and select the pencil to edit. All right, so we'll need to do that drop down here. And there's the pencil right there. So it says Markdown. We have to switch this to VQL. All right. And then what's the next steps here? Let's save this notebook and run against the agent as demonstrated below. Okay, so we'll need to edit this box here, it looks like. Put our stuff in there. Let's delete that and paste that, and then we will save it. Error message. Okay. All right, I'll have to see what's going on with it. Okay, this is the next one here. Okay, so you just deleted everything, I guess. So let's see here. All right, there we go. VQL can also be run via the command line. See the example below. For this example, VQL is run from the command line, querying an agent for details such as its host name. So if we want to do that, we can do that here. Then query and select star. Okay, that's good to know there. If we want to just do it directly. Okay. Artifacts, before wrapping up this task, let's touch on artifacts or VQL modules. Per the documentation, Velociraptor allows packaging VQL queries inside many programs called artifacts. Artifact is simply a structured YAML file containing a query with a name attached to it. This allows Velociraptor users to search for the query by name or description and simply run the query on the endpoint without necessarily needing to understand or type the query in the UE. This was a brief intro to VQL. It's recommended to review the official documentation thoroughly to understand it and how you can wield its power to execute advanced queries. Also reference the VQL reference and extending VQL for further information on VQL. So that's good to know there. And um, I was going to take a look. I was going to take a look real quick at this and see, but let's see here. I was trying to look at the command line, but I can probably do that later if needed. But anyway, you can try that yourself and see what results you get back. But anyway, question time. And y'all know what to do. Pause the video, try to answer yourself. If you get stuck, or if you're already done, need assistance, what have you, come back to the video and then we will proceed forward. Now, to answer these questions, you'll have to sift through the documentation as they reference up here. Okay, so documentation link there, VQL reference, and extending VQL. Let's take a look at this first one. What is followed after the select keyword in a standard VQL query? Well, flip over to the documentation, and you can see once you get done sifting through it, you can see that this section down here talks about that. The query starts with a select keyword followed by a list of column selectors. Okay, so that's our first answer, column selectors. And next one says what goes after the from a keyword. So once again, documentation, there's talks about from, then the from keyword, and a VQL plugin. Okay, so that's our answer for that one. Next one, what is followed by the where keyword? Okay, so once again, go back in there, and it says finally we have a where keyword followed by a filter expression. So there you go for that one. And then the next one talks about like suggestions. One of them talks about suggestions, right? Yeah. What can you type in the Notepad interface to view a list of possible completions for a keyword? So we'll have the question mark for that one, and that's once again in the documentation. You can type the question mark in the Notepad or notebook interface to view a list of possible completions for a keyword. So there we go for that one. And the last one, what plugin would you use to run PowerShell code from Velociraptor? So that's in a different section on here, and that is going to be on the extending VQL side, and talks about it down here once you scroll through a little bit. This is in order to run PowerShell code from Velociraptor, we'll use the execve open and close parentheses plugin to shell out to PowerShell. All right, and then it talks about it again down here. Plugin takes a list of commands or command line arguments, etc., etc. So there we go for that one. And task number 7 here, forensic analysis of VQL plugins. So forensic analysis per documentation, VQL is not useful without a good set of plugins that make deeper work possible. Velociraptor's strength lies in a wide array of VQL plugins and functions that are geared towards making deeper investigations and detections effective. There's a lot of information to cover here regarding VQL plugins. This task aims to give you enough information regarding these plugins so that you can construct your VQL query to hunt for artifacts of a popular exploit known as printnightmare. Okay, if you don't know what printnightmare is, you might want to do some Googling or ask ChatGPT or Copilot or some fancy AI tool out there to give you the details on that. At the date of the entry of this content, below are the categories surrounding forensic analysis, searching file names, searching content, NTFS analysis, binary parsing, evidence of execution, event logs, volatile machine state. Have a skim through searching file names and NTFS analysis to provide a solid brain dump to prep you for the questions below and for the next task. Sweet. So we have some questions down here that need to be answered. Y'all know what to do. Pause the video, try to answer them yourselves, then come back to the video. As per Velociraptor's documentation on NTFS analysis, what plugin will be used for parsing the master file table MFT? So click on that, it'll take you to the documentation. Once you're in here, you'll see that it'll talk about this parse underscore MFT open and close parentheses plugin, and that's the answer for that one. Okay, so next one says what filter expression will ensure that no directories are returned in results. For this one, once again, you have to go sifting through the documentation, and under this searching file system, they'll come across this isdir where it's referenced under glob results or whatever, right? So that's going to be our answer for that one. And let's continue on to task number 8, hunt for a nightmare. So we have to do another VM, it looks like. Hunt for a nightmare, terminate the previous virtual machine. and spawn the virtual machine attached to this task. Objective: use Velociraptor to create an artifact to detect the print nightmare vulnerability. Luckily, there is an artifact entry in the artifact exchange. To avoid just copy and pasting the artifact, you will need to construct a very simple VQL query. Below are steps to construct your VQL query to find the DLL. The select clause, the column assessors should be full path. Concatenate C to full path, column assessor, and file name. Make sure the column headers for each column assessor were named. Full path should be full underscore path, and file name should be file underscore name. Use parse underscore PE to ensure only PE files are returned. Check the VQL reference. Make sure the column header for this plugin should be renamed to PE. The from clause should use parse underscore MFT. The where clause should not return any directories, only return binaries PE files, and search directory where this malicious DLL will most likely be found. The skeleton query below should help you answer the question. So here's the skeleton query. All right, so use that as a reference point, as well as this other information here. Note you will need to start Velociraptor in instant Velociraptor mode. The instructions to do so can be found here. The virtual machine attached to this task is running Velociraptor version 0.6.2. All right, so with all this information, we should be able to answer these questions. All right, so y'all know what to do. Pause the video and then try to answer the questions yourself. If you get stuck or want to continue on, come back to the video and we will proceed forward. First off, be sure to start this up correctly. Just follow these instructions and click this here to get to those documentation. About starting it up here inside of Windows, I've already done this, so let's take a look here. What is the name of the artifact exchange to detect print nightmare? So you're going to navigate to that artifact exchange site. All right, and once you're in here, you're basically just going to search for it here. So type in print nightmare, and there's a few items that come up here. The one you need is going to be this detection one here, the Windows detection print nightmare. So plug that in. And the next one says, per the above instructions, what is your select cause? No space or commas. Remember, just use this as a guideline to create your query, okay? So just, you're going to replace these stars here, these placeholders, okay? So to look at it here, here's the skeleton one, and then you just replace that information with your actual select query here, okay? You just reference the documentation and what you learned in this room to build out this query basically, and you're going to use this query inside of Velociraptor, which we'll get to in a moment. All right, so once you have the skeleton query here and then the information up here that you reference to build out your query, you should be good to go. So once you have that built out, the next question says, what is the name of the DLL that was placed by the attacker? So we'll navigate to our machine here. And this is the one I already ran, but just to show you, you're going to go to, once you logged in, go to this hamburger icon, notebooks. Inside of here, you're going to click on the plus sign. So let's just do PN for print nightmare. PN, select user, admin, done. So we got PN here. We're going to click that, click down in here. As soon as it gets done loading, here we go. And then you're gonna click this pencil icon. Be sure to change this from Markdown to VQL, otherwise it's not gonna work. And what I did was clear all this out. And then once you have your query perfected, you just basically copy and paste it in there, like so. So that's done. Once it's done, you're gonna click this floppy disk to save it, and it should be running. So it's gonna calculate. Once this gets done running, it'll take a few minutes or so to finish. But you can see it's already populating information in here, okay? And it says that we need to find this DLL that attacker placed inside here. And this one's, I guess, pretty obvious if you do some research on Print Nightmare, I guess. But once this is done running, you'll get to that DLL. So I'm just going to go to the one that's already done. So this is the completed one that I ran earlier. And scroll all the way down, just go down to the last page, and you'll see something in here called nightmare.dll. So there you go. DLL. Now, next one talks about you need to find a PDQ or a PDB here, which is in the same output right there, and you just copy what's inside these quotations here, right, in those double quotes. Get that, plug it in, and you are done for that. Now this did take me a little bit to get the hang of create these queries and whatnot, a lot of trial and error. Okay, so it's not going to be straightforward if you're not used to using this tool and building out these queries and such. I think this is the first time I actually used Velociraptor, but after some Googling and looking at documentation, and heck, even probably if you use like Copilot AI, that could probably assist you in building these queries. I haven't used AI in this particular instance, but hey, that's a challenge for you guys. Try using AI to see if it'll build out a query to help you out with this information here. So let's go ahead and wrap this up with the conclusion. You made it to the end. I hope you enjoyed this brief tour and exposure to this fascinating tool called Velociraptor. Remember, this tool was acquired by Rapid7, so they will continue to make this tool better, just like Metasploit. There will most likely be a commercial version of Velociraptor coming soon, so you may see this in the commercial space more and more. Look forward to future rooms to practice hunting with the Velociraptor. Additional resources here to check out. We're done. Before I click that, I have some other additional resources. I've had posted these on this channel before, but some other items that you'll have to do outside the lab, or I recommend doing outside the lab, to go beyond, just labbing and stuff, improving your knowledge and whatnot. You can go to this D4 report website here. They got tons of other reports, like real world stuff here that you can go through and read through. They can help you out. Um, Next one here is malware archaeology. They have a lot of cheat sheets on stuff here to check out there. Next one is this Ultimate IT security site here, Ultimate Windows security site. It's got a lot of information in regards to Windows stuff, security log information. I believe they still do webinars and whatnot, so another resource there. Another one here on this Medium, a complete guide on how to identify a suspicious process. That could probably come in handy. And TCM Security has a course here called Practical Windows Forensics that looks pretty neat here if you want to check that out. Another one here, I just came across this site today, another blog for D4 Hive. This looks like it's useful, so the resource to check out here, recent posts on things in regards to the D4 space. And of course, there's D4 Diva here. It's got tons of resources and whatnot you can go through and try to find some additional training and all that jazz. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. And if you want to help support the channel, if you enjoyed the video, found it valuable, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share the video. As always, thank you for taking time to watch my video. Have a nice day, and I will see you later.